po, sirs. Senate President Cheese Escudero said that Congress has to be in session for the senator judges to take their oath. So ibig sabihin po, sa June pa po tayo mag-i-impeachment trial. Now my question is primarily for the prosecutors po. How will that affect your preparations? Will there still be strategizing during the break? Also, hindi ko naman po sinasabing matatalo kayo, but what if one of the 11 prosecutors could not make it to the 20th Congress? Eh baka umabot sa 20th Congress yung trial? Also, is that possible that the trial will continue into the 20th Congress?
For sure, and definitely our preparation will continue. We will continue to strategize how to approach the trial. Magkakaroon po tayo ng information campaign din para sa ating mga kababayan para maintindihan nila ang proseso ng impeachment, to simplify it so that every citizen can understand the process. Igihan po natin na planuhin ang bawat article of impeachment na malatag ng simple, klaro para sa sambayanan at sa mga magiging husgado sa Senado, while the impeachment complaint has been transmitted to the Senate. And the Constitution provides that once it has been received by the Secretary General of the Senate, trial should proceed forthwith. We will respect the institution of the Senate, how they will interpret forthwith. Kung gaano kaaga nila aktuhan ito, we will respect that. Pero sana matuloy lang ang paglilitis na ito because this is the perfect opportunity for all parties, especially the Vice President. This is the perfect opportunity for her to be given due process, for a chance to lay down the evidence in her favor and to clarify things during the trial. Kung tatanungin po ninyo, kung June na magbubukas at magkukonvene ang Senado as an impeachment court at kakapusin ng oras, tatawid po ba ito sa susunod na Kongreso? It is possible, and yes, we will leave it to the Senate and to the rules of the impeachment court because what adjourned yesterday was our legislative calendar. Ibig sabihin, natapos po ang pag-exercise namin ng aming legislative power as Congress and as Senate. And an impeachment process is a sui generis or a class of its own. Kakaiba po itong proseso and it's not part of the legislative process. Nasa Senado po yan, how they interpret that. And since it is not part of the legislative process, pwede po nating sabihin they can convene anytime that they are ready without waiting for session to open on June 2. And since it is not part of the legislative process, their rules may state that it may cross over to the next Congress. I heard the Senate President's interview earlier this morning, and he said that they will prepare first, and we respect that, and they have to update their own rules of impeachment, and we also respect that. So we leave it up to the Senate as a separate body and as an impartial body to be judges in the impeachment court, how they will proceed with the impeachment process. RODGE?
Sir, sorry po. Baka lang gusto niyo nang sagutin, sir, yung what if one of the 11 or some of the 11 will not make it to the 20th?
You want to answer? Sure.
I believe po, like sinabi po ni Kong Noy, that would really depend on the Senate and their rules. But as far as I guess we understand that it's just a position that is elected, and should there be a change in the composition, because we have to understand the Senate is a continuing body. The House of Representatives is not. If ever we have a new composition of the 20th Congress, then I think they will just elect a new set of prosecutors, if ever. It does not stop the process. As Kong Noy mentioned, sui generis, this is a special instance of a constitutionally mandated function of Congress. So I think patuloy pa rin naman po yun.
Tama si Congressman Rodriguez, and it would also depend on the Senate rules of impeachment. Kung meron po tayong isang kasamahan sa House of Representatives na hindi papalarin at hindi makakatuloy sa 20th Congress, if the Senate rules on impeachment will provide that private prosecutors can participate during the impeachment trial, then maybe they can continue as private prosecutors. So it would all depend on the impeachment court once they convene and they set forth their rules of impeachment.
Dadagdag ko lang po, no, sa mga dalawang prosecutors po natin. I think the Constitution speaks about the Congress, the House of Representative tries, and then the conviction is on the Senate mandate po, no, according to Constitution. But sa pagkakaalam ko po, the process of the impeachment is not, it's not really tied up with the particular members sitting in a particular Congresses. That's why it's very, kumbaga kung titingnan niyo po sa Constitution, it's the Congress. So meaning to say, it's the institution that tries and convicts. Number two, as far as the impeachment or the Senate convening into an impeachment court, tama nga po yung sinabi po ni Kong Noy at saka ni Kong RODGE, that would depend on the rules that they would adopt. Because since magko-convene po sila sa impeachment court, nakita po natin during the time of former President Estrada and former Chief Justice Corona, they have adopted their own rules. So maybe that's the reason why Senator SP, Jesus Escudero, is trying to convey to the public that they're preparing because they need to adopt first yung kanilang rules. Para sa amin po dito sa House of Representatives, we really respect the position of the Senate. As para naman po sa amin dito sa House of Representatives, we have established yung constitutional mandate po dahil may 30 complaints na binigay po sa atin dito. Pangalawa, yung urgency po ng complaint na ito. As long as we did our job and we have we have shown to the people that indeed the issue on impeachment complaints that were transmitted or that was endorsed to us, yung 3 complaint, were given primacy in credence and were given also their due value. So yun po yung ginawa natin dito. Pinakita lang po natin na when it comes to issue of impeachment, the dictation of the Constitution is of top priority of the legislators here in the 19th Congress.
In addition lang po, no, Ma'am Tina, in addition also to the answer of Kong Noy in relation to the preparations of the House, as we mentioned, the House will not shy away from its constitutional duty. Verily, we have already initiated the impeachment complaint as mandated by the Constitution. And in addition to that, we will not shy away from the preparations too. As we speak, the House leadership is already preparing the impeachment secretariat. So we will be prepared if ever the Senate does indeed interpret that they could proceed with trial as early as March. We will be ready. If they decide that it will continue after June 2, well, we'll be even more ready. So yun na po siguro.
Sir, follow-up ko lang po yung impeachment secretariat. Who will compose that and what will their duties be?
To answer that po, no, it's still not clear. Of course, it's been a while, but the impeachment secretariat will cater to all the needs that the House would have in relation to the sui generis proceedings. So I think it would be from the top down regarding logistics, regarding support. It should be separate from the legislative function of the House. So that's all that we could say po siguro at this moment.
Thank you po, sirs.
Thank you, Tina. Let us move on to the next question from Net25, Big Sumintak.
Morning po. Just a quick follow-up lang po. Among the 11 congressmen prosecutors, may we know who will be the lead prosecutors?
We leave it to the leadership of the House, who will be the lead prosecutor, and we will respect that. And we're fine with anyone who will be chosen as lead prosecutor.
Thank you, Vic. Bibian Gulia from ABS-CBN.
Good morning, Kongs. Tama po ba yung intindi ko sa mga answers ninyo kanina? Okay lang po sa inyo na June na mag-start after the elections yung trial. There's no call to hold the trial during the break?
Since the Constitution provides that trial shall proceed forthwith, if we interpret forthwith, dapat po sana as soon as possible yon. But since the Senate is an independent body, and we respect their independence, being a bicameral legislature, we will leave that to the interpretation of the Senate. I will refuse to comment on how they should act because they will be judges in this impeachment trial. And we accord them with the utmost respect and that they should act with utmost impartiality without any influence from the prosecution or from the respondent or the defendant. So, sana po maagapan ang pagsimula kasi the sooner that the evidence can be laid down, the sooner that due process can be exercised, the sooner can the issues pending before us can be resolved. So, sige po, sana po maagahan dahil handa naman ang prosecution team.
But, sir, so as you mentioned, it's written in the Constitution that trial should proceed forthwith. But can you point us to a specific rule lang po or part of the Constitution where it states that the Senate can hold the trial even when Congress is on break po?
When you say forthwith, hindi nakasabi doon kung saan sa konstitusyon na pwede may break. Every year before session opens, every legislative congress, kunyari 19th Congress, the Senate Secretariat and House Secretariat together with the duly elected Speaker, inuupuan muna nila yung legislative calendar for that year. While it's not clear whether we can proceed with the impeachment trial during the break, we said earlier that the impeachment trial is a sui generis, o kakaibang proseso po ito. It's a class of its own. And it is not bound by the legislative calendar. It's purely a political question on how Senate would proceed with it. So, yan po ang sagot dyan, no? Hindi po nakatali yan sa black and white. And we will see how the Senate would react on and act on the impeachment complaint.
Sir, baka lang din po meron kayong comment dun sa sinabi ni SP Cheese na unfair na madaliin sila dahil 2 buwan daw po inupuan ng House ang impeachment complaints.
Well, again, we respect the position of the Senate President. In fact, it has been explained naman po ni Congressman Noy that they have their own rules. We don't want to at least influence the impartiality ng mga senator judges. We will just wait for the Senate to convene as an impeachment court. Sa amin po, as long as we have already relayed and we have displayed the urgency and the priority that we have established that these impeachment complaints should be given primacy and should given priority, it's up to the court, no, the impeachment court, the Senate. When will they convene as a impeachment court? So yun lang po yung amin. There's no prescriptive time naman po, prescriptive time na sinabi po sa Constitution that once it is filed, once it is transmitted to the Senate is bound to, for example, a certain number of days to convene as an impeachment court. So it's up to how the Senate will define and will act on the wordings of the Constitution na sinasabi po shall act forthwith. As far as we are concerned, we take that as immediate and urgent.
Okay. Sir, doon naman sa mga prosecutors, paano po yung hatian, division of labor doon sa 7 articles of impeachment? Sinong congressman ang mag-handle ng specific articles po?
As of the moment po, wala pa pong assignments po of which prosecutor will be handling which articles. I think there's something to be discussed further down as we form the full impeachment secretariat po.
Your reaction din, sir, na parang yung mga ibang mga kamag-anak ng ibang senador ay hindi po pumirma doon sa impeachment complaints. Parang doon sa mga kamag-anak, 3 lang po yung pumirma. But most of them hindi po pumirma doon sa complaints. May implications po ba ito on the... Well, how would you interpret that?
I hope you'd understand we'd refuse to comment on that po. Especially given that these are our colleagues and we respect their opinion, every representative has the right to conduct themselves as they see fit for their constituents. But one thing's for sure po, the numbers are very clear. This is more than 1/3 required. There is a supermajority, so to speak. Yun na po yung impeachment complaint po natin.
Just to add, legally, it will not affect the impeachment complaint. It will not affect the impeachment trial. and the cold neutrality of an impartial judge by the Senate and the members of the Senate would be better preserved siguro kung may ganyan.
I-add ko lang, it just goes to show na yung mga lumalabas po na mga fake news at mga rumors na merong sa pilitan, na merong nagkakaroon po ng pag-influensya sa ating mga miyembro, ito po ay nagpapatunay na ang bawat isa po sa amin ay nagdesisyon base ho doon sa kanilang pag-appreciate ng merits ng complaint na ito.
Last na lang po. Your comment, sinabi raw po ni Duterte Youth Party List Chairman Ronald Cardema alleges funds for later release were promised to the 215 lawmakers who signed the fourth impeachment complaint against Vice President Duterte.
Again, kaya po ang committee, ang TRICOM ay nagko-conduct po ng investigation at inquiry in aid of legislation dahil po precisely because of these rumors and this chismis and this fake news na lumalabas po doon sa ating lipunan. Wala pong katotohanan sa mga sinasabi na ganyan. We would like to again to focus on the impeachment complaint. Ito po ay diversionary tactic na ginagawa po ng mga tao o grupo na ina-assail po nila yung integrity ng House, yung merits nung kaso o nung complaint na ipinasa po natin, tinasmit po natin sa Senate. Gusto ko lang pong ipaabot sa ating mga kababayan na we should be focused on the complaints, on the articles of impeachment. Wag tayo magpapadala at maniniwala sa mga diversionary tactics na ginagawa po ng ilang grupo po. Kaya nga po tayo inaagaran natin na magkaroon po ng batas para ma-regulate po natin at mabigyan sa solusyon itong mga fake news po na lumalabas, disinformation, malinformation, and misinformation po na lumalaganap sa ating lipunan. Isa na po itong mga balitang ganito.
Thank you. Next question, Krisa Subing-Subing from Inquirer. Go ahead.
Hi, sir. Slightly different question naman po. Can you give us an inside story po on how the votes were mustered yesterday? Kailan po nakuha ng mga mambabatas po yung or kailan kinonsolidate, kailan binuo yung fourth complaint, and paano po nag-gather ng support to endorse the complaint?
Well, admittedly, this is a long time coming po, no? Each congressman, although there was no talk of impeachment, they've already formed their own opinions from the hearings of the Quadcom and the good government committees. And I guess this was, accumulated into the first three impeachment complaints po, no? But the first three did not gather consensus. It did not gather momentum needed. And while the most congressmen, especially the members of the Justice Committee, were eagerly awaiting po to fulfill our mandate by hearing it in the Justice Committee, I believe the party leaders po have already thought of finding consensus between the three. So they took the best parts, took out the parts that they feel were not agreeable to other members, and that was what was presented. And finally, yesterday, it resulted in the impeachment po, the initiation of the complaint.
There were party consultations, and considering that there were three previous impeachment complaints filed, nakabuo ng mas matatag at mas klarong impeachment complaint na nakakuha ng suporta at kumpiyansa ng mga congressmen. That is why with this fourth impeachment complaint, which is clearer, where the evidence is presented in a stronger manner, it gave confidence to more than 200 or 215 congressmen to act as complainants in this impeachment complaint. So unti-unti pong nabuo at getting the best of the three previous impeachment complaints, as earlier said by Kong RODGE.
Idagdag ko lang po, no, simula po nung tumanggap po tayo ng mga complaints, 3 pong complaints ito, impeachment complaints, wala pong choice ang miyembro ng House of Representatives kundi bigyan po ng pansin itong complaints na ito because it now borders our constitutional mandate. It's a question of whether we act based on our constitutional mandate na mabigyan pong pansin itong complaints na ito. Number 2, ang alam ko po hindi lang 215. Meron din pong mga miyembro na nag-submit po ng kanilang mga signatures, no? Kung titingnan po natin nasa 225 na po kung hindi ako nagkakamali. But the signatures that appeared to be initially published in the media at saka yung nalaka po natin ay 215. Those are the members who were physically present during yesterday's filing of the fourth complaint. Meron din pong abot ng kanilang suporta or sa complaint na ito. Although I don't know how they would be able to be included in as complainants to amend the 215 to make it the 225 kung di ako nagkakamali. But that would depend on, I guess, on the court, on the Senate acting as impeachment court, whether they would allow such amendment to the complaints, number of complainants.
May follow-up lang po. Sir, kailan po nag-start yung mga party consultations po on consolidating the fourth complaint, impeachment complaint po? And does that mean that essentially the congressmen have already made up their minds, even though President Marcos himself has signaled na ayaw niya pong ituloy yung impeachment process because madi-deprioritize yung mga priorities ng Marcos administration?
We thank the President for respecting the separation of powers and respecting the independence of Congress. And we also respect the decision of the Executive Department. As far as party consultations are concerned, it's been ongoing since the first impeachment complaint has been filed. Internally, depende sa partido. Depende sa kanilang approach kung magtatanong sila internally kung may pabor ba sa impeachment, ano ang klase ng articles of impeachment ang nakakarapat. That is why nabuo itong fourth impeachment complaint where there is a consensus of more than 200 members who signed kasi mas malinaw itong impeachment complaint at mas matatag ang paglatag ng mga articles of impeachment.
Thank you, Krisha. Next question from Billy Vegas of Abante Politico.